Hello friends, this is the first time that I've ever done a voiceover for a speed draw, so this is really exciting and a little bit scary. This is also the first commission that felt more on the professional side. I've done drawings for friends before, and while I consider my patron, as we've decided to call him, Lee, a friend, it's just felt a lot more professional to me this time around. Likely because this was the first commission that I had ever done an invoice for. And this is the first commission that I had tried to, along with another commission from a different friend, price correctly. Usually I used to give out the old friends discount, working for basically nothing. But I decided this year to open up proper commissions. And before I even got a chance to do that, here comes Lee asking for this piece of art, which is amazing. This is a character from hit TV series, Our Flag Means Death. And I have rapidly become utterly obsessed with this show since December last year. This character's name is Stede Bonnet, and I was delighted to get this commission because I hardly ever draw him in feminine clothing. I honestly don't know why, because I think he looks really great in feminine clothing, so I was excited to have the opportunity to draw him like this. The hard thing about doing this sort of speed draw situation is that I have to really lay bare all of the parts behind the scenes that I really don't like. So for example, you'll see over the next few minutes that I struggle with the skirt that he's wearing. It's called a wiggle skirt, and I have never heard of a wiggle skirt before. And I've got to give Lee props here for how gentle and patient they were with me while I tried to figure out how to draw it. I had to do so many revisions and we got there in the end, but yeah, it was a time. It was a time. Even with that though, I had a lot of fun working with Lee. He's a great person to work with, and I'm not just saying that because I know that they will be watching. Lee was also really interesting to work with because she has aphantasia, and I've heard of aphantasia before, but I've never really gotten a chance to explore that concept in much detail. It was amazing to hear them describe what Stede should look like, what his clothes should look like, the colours, the shapes, even down to the textures. It was really fascinating to me that even though he can't see anything in his mind, they clearly had a very specific idea. Someone with a very specific idea is really useful for me in a commission setting. If somebody has a specific idea in mind but can't describe it, then it can be a little bit frustrating. It can also be a really joyful process to help them figure out their vision, but at the same time it was wonderful to have Lee's descriptions so I knew that I was giving him exactly what they had pictured. I know pictured is not the right word to use there with someone with aphantasia, but I don't know what to use instead. Here we go, still revising that skirt. The main problems were the height of the skirt, both at the top and the bottom, like the length of the skirt, I guess, and how much the waist should have been cinched in. I didn't realise that it was such an important part of the shape of the skirt. And I also found it difficult to do that because of the shape of the character in general. He's often described as a rectangle, but these skirts are designed to really cinch your waist in. So that was the main revision each time, was cinch the waist in, please. But Lee was, as I said, very patient with me, very, very kind and understanding. I should also point out as well that this is an illustration for one of Lee's fics, and I think their writing is phenomenal. I feel very honoured to be drawing for such a talented writer, so please go and check out their fics. I will put a link in the description. I had an incredibly hard time with the perspective of this foot. Is this where I'm going to change the foot? Yes. I don't know whether I go into it again later, but yeah, this was extremely difficult. I felt like it looked like he was a little bit cross-legged, like if he would complete that step then his foot would collide with the front leg, so I decided to change it up a little bit and tried to make the angle a little bit more side on. I think it works. When I looked at the main reference image that I had, that also looked quite odd. So I think it's just the perspective that we had here. Here, Lee wasn't sure about the bottom of the skirt, so I gave him some options of different styles. I was very pleased that they went with this one. At the time, I didn't say which one I preferred. I wanted her to feel completely free in the decision that he made. But yeah, I can't help feeling very pleased with the option that they chose. There we go. This is the shoe revision. A lot of drawing and redrawing, looking at different references. Feet in general I find quite challenging, especially feet in shoes. For some reason I just find it incredibly unnatural. There we are. Did that change anything? You decide. A few different arm options. In the end, we went for the original one, but I wanted to give some different options instead of just one hanging down. And here we go, the colour. This is my favourite part of the process every time. It's so freeing just to block in those colours, use the fill tool and feel like I'm getting so much done in such a short amount of time, especially with the flats. A question that I see a lot from new artists is how to get your own style. And the answer that I'll give is the answer that I always used to get myself, which really frustrated me, but it is just all about practice. The more practice you do, the more you develop your own style. A lot of it is copying other artists' style. It's not a bad thing to do at all. It can really help you explore what you enjoy drawing, how you enjoy engaging in the process. And copying is also a really great thing to do with finding little bits and pieces from your favourite artists so you can incorporate those things into your own work. How I found this style is that I was getting really frustrated with trying to perfect my line work and make them as straight as possible and as neat as possible, and it just wasn't happening in the way that I wanted it to. So one day I decided to just get rid of the lines altogether and just do colours, and you'll see now that I'm putting the colours in, I can get really sharp and crisp edges this way, which I find really freeing and satisfying. So yeah, hilariously, this style came about because I'm a bit of a control freak and I like things to look very organised, clear and crisp. Sometimes I like to do pieces that are really challenging, and sometimes it can be lovely just to have a piece that I find easy to do, and this was one of the easier ones for me, apart from the skirt, of course. I think the hardest part was this scarf. With things like this, I have to pick and choose what parts of reality to include in the drawing. For example, underneath the scarf, the skin should be darker because it's being shaded, obviously, but when I tried it, it looked completely awful. So I had to just have the skin the same colour. It can be very challenging sometimes to make those decisions, but that's all part of having your own style. If you're going to be doing photorealistic art, then you don't have to make those decisions, but if you're going to be doing a particular style, then you have to figure out what things look like in that style. And that's part of the artistic process that I find the most interesting and the most joyful, because I don't always know what it's going to look like. I had no idea what this scarf was going to look like before I went into it, for example, and being in the dark like that about something that you yourself are creating can be very exciting. I was really pleased with how it came out, and luckily Lee was very pleased too. The shading is also one of my favourite parts of the process. I feel like I can really play around with where the bits of shading go, even though I'm trying to make it make sense, obviously, with using a light source. I feel like I can have a lot of fun with the shading and the shapes that I use. Oh, these buttons, I had a lot of fun with them. It makes me a bit sad to think that people won't be looking at them very closely, even though I spent so long on them. But I love doing metallic textures, I guess, be the right word. Yeah, that's where I decided that the skin being shaded all the way under the scarf didn't work. So I just went in and did it not directly under the scarf, but underneath it. I don't know how else to word that. You can see, you're watching the video, you figure it out. This character slash actor has such nice arms to draw. I find them really wonderful to shape these naturally gifted biceps, as he has said himself. I had so much fun with this hair as well. It was so simple, but I thought the way I figured out how to do it was really effective in illustrating the shape. Oh yeah, I forgot we tried we tried freckles at one point, but Lee decided that it didn't really add anything, so we went against freckles in the end. Here, the last bit, the background. I don't often do things like this in like just deleting part of the drawing to get the shape, but that was the easiest thing to do with this curtain. And then because it was such a large area, I couldn't go in with the full detail right at the beginning. I had to sort of block it in and then zoom in and zoom out and zoom in and zoom out and see, keep on seeing what it looked like. I also made the sketch white, as you can see there, just so I could see it more easily. I really enjoyed trying to get this fabric to look really heavy by doing quite straight lines to really give it that weight of not flowing super easily, but then the lines still need to have a little bit of wobble to them to give it that natural organic feel. and I did a few different options for the floorboards. Luckily, again, Lee decided on my favourite one, which, yeah, is always really nice as an artist for someone to agree with you and you get to see your favourite option be part of the finished piece. But again, yeah, I did not say which one I preferred because at the end of the day, it was their piece and they should be able to decide without feeling sort of guilty about which one to go for. And that was the finished piece. I'd obviously like to thank my patron Lee for trusting me with their vision for this piece. Fan fiction is incredibly personal, and I was really gobsmacked and honoured to be a part of this story and be a part of bringing this image to life. Lee has been instrumental in helping me start the process of opening up commissions, which is really scary. They have helped me figure out how to do invoices and how to price my work properly and how I generally like to operate. So yeah, thank you, big massive thanks to Lee, and thank you for watching and listening. I hope you find it interesting or at least entertaining, and I hope to do more of these videos in the future. So I'll see you next time.